Hello and welcome to this reading. Thank you for being here. I hope you're all well. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dylan. I realise that I don't always introduce myself at the beginning of videos, but I guess it's in the title. My name is the name of the channel. So my name is Dylan and I'm a tarot reader. I also work with oracle cards and runes from time to time. And I just wanted to say thank you before we get started for being here, for watching these videos, for those of you who have subscribed, liked and commented. It always means a lot to me, and it's nice to have a two-way street, to have a conversation and to read, what's going on with you and hear how these readings land with you in the comments. So feel free to do that if you want to. Before I get started with the cards, there's definitely a vision, an image coming through of and it made me laugh actually before I started this video. It was like someone pushing, imagine there's a tiny person inside of a glass, like a drinking glass, and it's like one of those ones that sort of goes in almost like a bowl shape in a way, or you could see it as a glass bowl, and they've got a ball and they're trying to push this ball up the inside of the glass or the bowl, and it keeps rolling back down again. And there's a lot of frustration there. So it just amused me because I just thought, how often we can feel that way in life if there's something that we're trying to do or get off the ground, or, something that we have our eye set on, our mind set on, and actually we just can't seem to get there. And it's like one step forward, two steps back, or sometimes it feels like one step forward, 5 steps back. And so yeah, that's what I can see, like this little figure trying to push this ball up the side of the glass, and they almost get to the top and then they slide back down with this ball and they have to start again. But they are determined to do it. So this could be for those of you who have something like that in your lives, where you feel like you're making progress and then all of a sudden, like you're really not, and you feel like you're going backwards. And I will say that you are not going backwards. That's what I'm picking up on. Sometimes there's a need to rest. I just had a vision as well. Interesting one. I don't know if any of you have watched Gladiators. That's a show. I know it's at least over here in the UK. I don't know if they have it in other countries. I used to love it as a kid. But at the end, there's I think it's called the Travelator, and it's like like an escalator in a way, but it's not steps. It's almost like a conveyor belt, and it's running downwards and they have to run up it against the grain, let's say. And so they try once and then they fall and they slide back down again. It takes them back down to the bottom. And if they try and run straight back up again after, it's very likely that they're not going to get to the top because they're usually pretty exhausted from the first time. But if they wait, take some deep breaths and get themselves going again, breathe and then go again, quite often they'll make it to the top. So there's something here about remembering to take a breather and not just repeatedly throwing yourself at something because you feel like you should be there already. So that's an interesting message. You will know when to rest and when not to rest in here. The head might have other ideas, the mind, but check in with your heart and see whether you need to rest or to keep moving forwards. Ask your intuition. Okay, that's enough shuffling. Air Guardian, shift your perception. So this is very much about changing the way that we look at things. I just heard like turning away from the struggle. So there may be a need to, if you do start to feel frustrated, to just focus your mind elsewhere. So you might go and do something completely different, for example. This is a very, very small example, but if you were doing a crossword puzzle and you just couldn't get the answer and you're getting really frustrated and it's the last one, and then think, right, I'm going to leave it, I'm going to go and do the washing up, or I'm going to go and take the dog for a walk, or whatever. I'm going to get something to eat, I'll come back. And then you come back to it and you're like, that's the answer. That's what I'm feeling. Like these answers, my stomach's rumbling, these answers aren't going to appear from fighting and forcing, is what I'm hearing. When you take a break, when you let your mind relax a little bit and stop grasping, things will start to come through, ideas will start to come through, There could be an innovative idea that you have about how to roll that ball up the side of the bowl or the glass and out, and how to climb out of it. But you're not going to get that answer by just throwing yourself at the side of the glass repeatedly, metaphorically. So shifted perception, move your mind elsewhere, and then you can, it's almost like a box opening, so you could think of this as thinking outside the box. And so you open this box, and then there's more space, and then the ideas can start to come out. Whereas if we're frustrated and we've got the box closed, it's just like bouncing around in there, and it's never going to come out, is what I'm hearing. So let's get another card. This is the Angels and Ancestors Oracle. Let's see what we've got. Cool. Wait for important information. There we go. Maybe there's something that we just don't know yet that we need to know in order to move forwards, and maybe we need to ask the right questions. Maybe we're not asking ourselves the right questions. Maybe we need to do some research. We might want to start researching, and that could help us to find a way to roll that ball up the side of the bowl and climb out of the top, metaphorically. Yeah, oracle. Also, you might want to sit down and do a little bit of divination for yourself. For those of you who do have oracle or tarot cards, I know sometimes it can be a little bit tricky, especially with tarot, when you pull for yourself. But there is something around trusting your own power, your own intuition, your own intuitive skills, I would say, moving forwards. There's also some kind of ritual elements I'm picking up on as well, because like the woman here, I feel like she's burning incense of some kind, and so there could be a need for like relaxing the mind through ritual. So you could put on some music that resonates with you, maybe some kind of relaxation, meditation music, or it could be music that helps you to connect with your ancestors or any of your guides that help you when you need help with some answers. You could light a bit of incense if that works for you, maybe light some candles, do all of it safely, of course, the disclaimer that needs to be said, and relax. I just had like a hot water bottle or one of those wheat bags. I love those. I put them around my neck to relax my neck. Something warm. Wrap yourself in a blanket. Maybe even put a hood up like this. I often find like doing ritual work or going into some kind of altered state, having a hood can help. And to sit and to just be in that ritual space and enjoy the music and the scents and just feel and experience all of those senses. And as you do that, your mind will begin to release its grip. That's what I'm feeling. And then again, like I was saying about the box opening and these answers coming through, could be very enlightening, is what I just heard. Very informative as well. And I'm just hearing get out of your own way, which is something I hear quite often. Let's see. What else have we got? What else do we need to know? Death. Yeah. I feel like this is about letting an old way die. So maybe your old way is to push and shove yourself to come to a place where you have an answer, but you know full well that that doesn't actually work, doesn't help. I'm just feeling here like, you know, when people say that someone's henpecked, for example, that's something we say here in the UK anyway, like pecking someone's head, like getting at them, like complaining and nagging, that kind of thing. Well, that's what I'm feeling from this crow here on the top. There's almost like this sense of pecking at the head, all of these like unhelpful thoughts coming through, some kind of like shadow aspect that's going on that we haven't integrated, and so it's kind of running the show at times. But I feel like you're getting a handle on it, and like I said, death, this is about this coming to a close. This is about you, I just heard rectifying, resolving, changing this way that you approach things. So it might be a way to loosen your grip. I actually made a video about that theme A few videos ago, if you want to check that out on my channel, there's a reading about loosening your grip and how that can change your life. Every aspect of our lives can be changed by just letting go a little bit, you know, just not holding on so tightly. Maybe that's what you're letting go of. And I just heard perfectionism as well, which I think I mentioned that earlier, or maybe it was the last reading. By the way, all of the last readings, every reading that I post, the previous reading is posted at the end on those little card things that come up on the screen. It's linked at the end, so you can check out the previous reading in case you want to reference that or just enjoy it. So let's get another card. Yeah, so we've got two cards, the Magician and the Knight of Cups. Yeah, get into your heart, get into your feels, start feeling again. I think there's been something that's been so frustrating. What I'm picking up on is that it's pretty exhausting to keep pushing and pushing and striving and pushing, trying to make this thing work. And you've probably had instances when you've lent into your magic. It's 11:11, as I said, magic. Instances when you've lent into that and released your grip, again, loosened your grip, and how things have just come to you. Ideas have come to you. People, opportunities. You see a sign, a synchronicity, someone will mention something, and it's all because you released your grip and stopped trying to control everything. So don't push so hard. There seems to be quite a strong theme for a lot of readings that I'm doing lately, but really focus on your heart. Sit and contemplate, but from the heart. I'm not talking about analysing everything to death. Breathing, and like I said, being in that ritual space might help. Opening your heart to the answers is something else I just heard. I just heard as well, this is really interesting, this could be quite a specific message for someone. He just wants to tell you the truth. Now this could be an aspect of ourselves that wants to help us to see our truth. It could be a guide or an ancestor, spirit guide, animal guide, whatever, animal spirit, that wants to tell us some kind of truth that we're not hearing because we're too busy trying to push this ball up the side of the glass or the bowl. And I just heard rest long enough and you'll hear it. So this doesn't mean do nothing. You can rest while you're doing things. But it does mean stop pushing for a while. Even if it's just half a day or an hour. Something really wants to come through and he wants to tell you the truth. This could be a person. It could be a person that you're holding at arm's length, for example, and you really want this person to come closer, but your energy is telling them to go away. Probably less politely than that. There's like this energy of like keeping people at arm's length I'm picking up on as well. And reflect on that. Why is that? You know, why might you not feel safe to allow people close to you? I was going to say allow people in, but you don't even have to allow them in. This is about even allowing people anywhere near you. So maybe there's someone that could help, but you're so busy kicking them away or pushing them away that they're unable to help because either through fear or pride, you're not letting them do that. So someone wants to tell you the truth. I'll leave that up to you as to how that resonates, who that is, who that might be, whether it's someone in the physical or whether it's someone in spirit. It could go either way. It really depends on everybody's situations, but the first person that comes to mind generally will be the person. I'm not going to shuffle that deck anymore, actually. I'm going to pull one, maybe two, we'll see, from the Mystical Shaman Oracle. So, how can this collective, how can the people watching this video move forwards? Yeah. The Witness. I feel like this is inviting you to witness. That was 1444 on the clock then. Something about witnessing your own process. I feel like you're probably in a space right now where you are witnessing your own patterns and they could be a little bit frustrating, but the main thing is that you're kind to yourself through this process, because you might be witnessing things like self-sabotage, you might be witnessing things like full-on resistance to moving forwards, you might be witnessing impatience, frustration, and they could be elements and aspects of your personality. I mean, I know personally that I'm quite an impatient person. You know, I'm an Aries, it comes with the territory. I want things done now or yesterday. But I know that that's a part of who I am. It's a part of my personality, and it's something that I'm gradually learning to accept and to work with and to kind of temper with patience. So there could be things that you're not all that keen on about yourself that could scupper you here and there. You know, using impatience as an example, it can make us jump into things more quickly than maybe we should, and maybe we make rash decisions and make poor choices just because we feel antsy, just because we feel impatient, because we feel restless and we need to do something. If that's the case as well, I would say that like exercise is really helpful with that, getting the body moving, especially if you happen to have a lot of Aries in your chart as well. That can be very helpful. But yeah, witness these parts, witness these aspects of yourself. Be kind to yourself, and if you're not giving yourself a break, you know, when I was talking about the gladiators and the travelator, and you're not giving yourself that breather before you start again, you likely are sabotaging yourself, because you're not giving yourself like a full, I saw it as a video game, like a full bar of health then. It's like going out into a mission in a game with a half bar of health and no supplies, like no first aid kits, for example, depending on what game you're playing. And you're putting yourself in a position where it's likely that you will fail. And that can be then a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's all coming from like a place of self-sabotage. So just be aware of these things. I feel like taking a breather and just asking yourself what's going on internally is going to be very helpful, especially like with the Knight of Cups here and how contemplative he looks. He's taking some time to consider. He's not rushing, he's sitting, he looks fairly relaxed, and he's kind of just gazing into the distance. It's almost like that soft focus that we can use in meditation. And sometimes when we use soft focus, we might start to see things more clearly, with our mind's eye, with our intuition. Yeah, so I hope this has been helpful. Thank you as always for watching. As I said at the beginning, I really appreciate it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments as to how these readings resonate. And I will speak to you all again soon. Much love from me and the frog in my throat. Bye bye.